Hi guys, it's David here from Writing Resources, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to improve our creative writing, and specifically we're going to learn how to write a scary piece of creative writing. So we're going to have a look at the Gothic and horror genre, and this is specifically going to focus on the kind of thing you want to be reading during this Halloween period. What kind of writing do we associate with Halloween? Now, normally when we think about the typical things we associate with this time of year, we often think about horror and Gothic writing. With this genre, we typically associate it with things that are like dark, abandoned, decaying settings, normally things like abandoned buildings, old castles, or creepy and spooky forest or wood settings. You'll also get a romanticised past. So the idea of actually using romance in this genre is quite typical. If you think about things like Twilight or even Dracula, there is always a sense of the romantic to it as well. You'll also have things like superstition, violence, suspense, anti-heroes, symbolism, and pathetic fallacy. Now the last one is extremely important. So pathetic fallacy is where we use the weather to echo the character's emotions. This is a fantastic thing to talk about when we do writing, especially when it's something that helps us to create a kind of gothic or scary sense in our writing. Look at the response below. Is the response scary? How could it be improved? So we've got the typical example that you're going to face if you are doing the creative writing on question 5 of paper 1, explorations in creative reading and writing. You'll be given a stimulus, which is normally a picture or a scenario, as we can see on the left hand side. And what we've got here is a student's first attempt at trying to respond to the question. So it says, the road looked really dark. There was that bad smell you get when out in the countryside. No cars could be seen for miles. The sound of animals moving about in the woods made things seem really scary. So what I'd like you to do now is just pause the video, have a look at this response and think, is it a good piece of creative writing? Is it something that we associate as Gothic or horror writing? And is there any way that we might be able to improve this? There's nothing wrong with having things that you need to improve with your first attempt in creative writing. It's all about realising what is effective and what we need to do to move our writing to that next stage and that next level. Below are some of the key techniques to inject a sense of horror in your writing. Now, whenever we are having a go at our creative writing, there are many different language techniques that you can use to really make it sound effective. Specifically in this video, we're going to focus on 3 main techniques. So the first one is sensory language. So in total you have 5 senses. So smell, taste, touch, what you can hear, and of course what you can see. If you're able to use all of these 5 senses in your description, it will help your writing really come alive and help your audience to really picture and imagine the scene you're trying to paint for them. Personification. So you've got the dictionary definition there. Essentially, all it is assigning human qualities to something that isn't living. Typical examples of this include things like the tree waved or something like that. Now we're going to try and avoid something like that because it's going to sound a little bit cliche, a little bit too commonplace. So you want you to think of things that are going to take the audience on an actual journey, get them to imagine really what is it you're trying to convey to them, inject a real sense of fear in your writing rather than doing the same old typical examples that we see all the time. And the last one are sentence forms. So the 4 main sentence forms are minor, simple, compound and complex. Minor sentences are things that people often forget about. They're simple sentences that just have 1 or 2 words in them. If you need extra help with any of these different techniques, please check out our other videos on creative writing, which goes into them in a little bit more depth. Select one of the images to attempt the creative writing challenge in the next part of the video. As you look through each one, I'd like you to consider the techniques that you need for the Gothic or horror writing. For each image, think, what is the first thing that you notice about them? What stands out to you? What will be the first thing you describe? Really think about which image speaks to you personally and see which one helps you to actually be the most creative that you can be. Now that we've looked at some of the techniques needed for Gothic and horror writing, let's have a look at the creative writing challenge. So there's going to be a number of different challenges here just to help you to actually engage your audience and create a really successful piece of creative writing. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is write the opening of a story using the conventions of Gothic or horror writing. These are the things that we went through at the start of the video, so if you're still unsure about what those are, please take your time and look back at the video just to refresh your mind. The next one, use sensory language, personification and a variety of sentence forms to engage your reader. And finally, use the following examples of ambitious vocabulary. So the ones we want to focus on in this video are terrorize, monstrosity and fearfulness. Now, using an ambitious vocabulary, using bigger words than we'd normally use in our day-to-day lives, are going to get us a few extra marks. So if you're actually doing this in preparation for a GCSE exam or you're doing a little bit of revision, this is really going to help you in regards to that. Now that we've looked at a few techniques, let's see how we can apply these to our writing. So if you have a look at the example, the first paragraph says, "He moved noiselessly through the woods. Pressing the rifle to his shoulder, he tried to still his shaking limbs. The creature was out here, somewhere." The biggest thing to notice with this response is that the candidate has actually thought very carefully about the use of sentence structure. They've used a variety of short, simple, even minor sentences to help create a dramatic effect for the reader. When we look at the second paragraph, we can see there that they're using other techniques to build a sense of tension and suspense in the writing. So it says, "The wind whispered a warning as he noticed something red on the snow-covered landscape. Cautiously he crept closer. His heart struck against his chest like a hammer. He felt a sliver of sweat bead and trickle down his spine." So you can see there from that first line, with the wind whispered a warning, it's clearly used personification, which was one of the techniques that we're focusing on the previous slide. The next paragraph says, "Pausing, he tried to regain his composure. He strained his ears as he took in icy, ragged breaths. Then faintly he heard a voice. 'You shouldn't have come,' it said softly. 'You shouldn't have come.'" The technique we've used here at the end is a bit of a cliffhanger, so we're trying to engage our reader and we want them to read on and get fully immersed in the story and the world we're creating. Now that you've seen the response on the previous slide, what I'd like you to do is to go back and look at those images, look at the example and see if you can create a piece of Gothic or horror writing of your own, something that fits with the genre that we've been looking at, something suitable for Halloween. If you need any additional support or help with this, then please check back with our channel regularly because new videos will be added every single week. Alternatively, you can leave us a comment below or subscribe and join our partner channel Bookworm Teaching for more lessons and guidance on all things English. We will also have other lessons on creative writing, so if you like this one, please do check out the next ones we're adding on. All the best guys and thank you.